Welcome in, Bills Mafia, to Table Talk, a countdown to kickoff. Bills Mafia countdown to kickoff, presented by GoBillsPodcast.com, where we bleed red, white, and Bills blue. I'm your host and founder of the page, Brett McDurphy. I am ecstatic to be with you tonight to cover the Miami Dolphins and Buffalo Bills game that will be kicking off in just about 20 minutes. It is going to be an electric atmosphere inside Highmark Stadium, and I can't wait for this one to get underway. Sean Kula from Red, White, and Bills coming over into the chat saying, let's go. Let's get a complete game and dominate. Absolutely. Love what you're saying there, Sean. Absolutely. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on social media. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. But you can also find us on our website, GoBillsPodcast.com. I want to get into real quick the inactives for both teams. Let's start off with the Miami Dolphins and their inactives. Their safety, Ifadatu Milifonwu, hopefully I said that right. Cornerback, Juju Brents. Cornerback, Storm Duck. Tight end, Darren Waller. Wide receiver, Taj Washington. Defensive tackle, Zeke Biggers. Quarterback Quinn Ewers is inactive, but he will be the emergency third quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. For our Buffalo Bills, the inactives begin with wide receiver Curtis Samuel, defensive back Jordan Hancock, cornerback Jamarcus Ingram, linebacker Matt Milano, offensive tackle Chase Lunt, defensive tackle Ed Oliver, and defensive end Landon Jackson all have been inactive for the Buffalo Bills. The team also brought in defensive tackle Zion Logue, who played last week for the Buffalo Bills, and linebacker Keontae Jenkins off of the practice squad again this week, off of a short week, to be on the active roster for the Buffalo Bills. And that's means that we will have some new faces out there too, in Shaq Thompson that will be active, as well as cornerback Taron Johnson and Cam Lewis. Both are active for this game, which is good news for the Buffalo Bills. John Robert coming into the chat saying, I was surprised about Ingram. I'm a little bit surprised, but I think that he's fallen down the totem pole on the roster, and I think that Dorian Strong is a little bit ahead of him right now, and he is just an odd man out because of what some of these players can do on special teams is what it comes down to for me, and that's probably one of the reasons why he is inactive in this game, and maybe he's dealing with an injury. Who knows? That could very well be the case of what's happening here for him. But I want to get into the matchup. I want to set the stage a little bit for you guys, let you know what is happening for the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins. And let's start with the Miami Dolphins, who are coming into this game at 0-2. They are sitting on 2 losses. They should have probably won last week, but unfortunately they didn't against the New England Patriots. The Bills have beaten them in 6 of the last 6 matchups, so they're pretty much in a struggling situation. They are riding on a little bit of momentum this week in terms of some comments that were made from Mike McDaniel as well as Tua Tagovailoa, and they're trying to find an identity for this team, but they are dismantled all the way around, and that's what's hurting them the most. They're just looking like a team that doesn't have a true identity from the top down. And we mentioned it on the show that we did last night, Red, White, and Ruthless. And I mentioned that it seems like the difference between the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins is that one team has a true identity from the ground up. And it starts with Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane, Josh Allen at the top of the helm that take over. But we also have a ton of veterans and guys like Jordan Phillips, Jordan Poyer that are on the team. Micah Hyde's even in the building in Buffalo, checking in with the Buffalo Bills. You'll also see Gabe Davis coming back to the team. There's a lot of veteran presence on this Buffalo Bills team and leaders that actually want the best for the team versus the Miami Dolphins that are kind of a collection of players in terms of guys that like Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle, players like that, even Bradley Chubb on the defensive side of the ball. There's a lot of talent there, but they haven't blended together and made a really good team. It's kind of like when you look at a basketball team sometimes. You have some really good basketball teams out there that have a lot of talent, and sometimes they have all the talent in the world, but they can't blend together. Versus Buffalo, has a team that has had so much success over the last 9 years, and that's what the difference between one team versus the other is for me. I see you guys coming into the chat on YouTube and on Facebook. I would love to know your thoughts and comments on the score predictions for the game. Let me know your comments on the score prediction for the game. But let's keep going with this matchup too, and let's talk about the Buffalo Bills side of things. They are coming off of a wave of momentum going up against the New York Jets in Week 2. They dismantled them, beating them 30-10, and the Bills looked like a team that just was dominant in every aspect of that game. They played very well on defense. The offense at times wasn't clicking with Josh Allen and the wide receivers, but it was backed up by a balanced team where you saw James Cook have 2 touchdowns on the day, looking great. But that's one thing that I want to see from the Buffalo Bills in this game is setting the stage for Josh Allen to take over in the night. And that's what's going to happen, in my opinion. John Robert coming into the chat saying, do you think the Bills will run more or pass? I think it's going to be a day where they're going to pass more, and I'll get into it in just a couple minutes, John. I really appreciate your comment. Number one, but you're kind of leading me into what I'm going to get into in just a couple seconds for what the Buffalo Bills will do. And thank you for leading me into that topic. But I think that one team is in desperation mode. One team is in a desire to win and compete in the NFL. And that's the difference in this game and what it will take for the Buffalo Bills to win. And let's get into how the Buffalo Bills can win. And let's start on offense for the Buffalo Bills, how they can win this game. And it starts off with, for me, Josh Allen having a fast start in this game. And I know that he's debuting a new clear visor for the Buffalo Bills because of his broken nose that he had last week. But it's going to be interesting to me to see how he adjusts in the game to having to wear a visor. And sometimes there's going to be some times where maybe the vision isn't there right away. But I think he's going to be fine. He's a true athlete. He knows what to do out there. He's been in practice for the last couple of days wearing that protective visor. And I'm not going to make any excuses for him. He can make any throw on the planet. He can probably throw it to the moon and back because of the talent that he has, in my opinion. And it's going to be fun to see. I do see my father coming into the chat, getting into the defensive side of the thing, saying stop the run. That's going to be something that we will talk about in the future too. I appreciate you, Dad, for coming into the chat on Facebook. But let's get into how Buffalo can win on offense. Let's start with that. Okay. It's going to come down to, for me, Josh Allen getting off to a fast start. As I mentioned before, he has to click with his receivers, spread the ball out in this game. You saw it last time the Buffalo Bills played the Miami Dolphins. When you are putting the ball to 10 different receivers in the game, it makes it so that this team can open up the field with James Cook and the running game. Not only James Cook, but Ray Davis. You have Ty Johnson in the backfield that can get the ball rolling and take advantage of the time of possession battle in this game. Then, for me, this is going to be a tough matchup for the Buffalo Bills offensive line going up against a really good defensive line in terms of Jalen Phillips as well as Bradley Chubb. And you also have a really good front seven of the Miami Dolphins. Even though they have struggled over the last 2 weeks, I think that this is going to be a very different team that you will see. They're going to have to fight for their head coach. And that just gives me this little aspect of that they're going to come hungry and ready to play. So the Buffalo Bills have to start off on a hot start, and they have to make sure that they are putting the pedal to the metal on the Miami Dolphins because their season currently is on the line if they don't get a win here against Buffalo in Week 3. Then the offensive line, they have to step up big. They have to create good pockets for Josh Allen, make sure that he is comfortable in the pocket and can connect with weapons such as Kincaid, not Benford. I'm thinking of who would be going up against them in practice. But Kincaid, Shakir, you have Elijah Moore and Joshua Palmer that are going to be the wide receivers. You have to have a fast start by Josh Allen connecting with all these different players out there and making sure that he is getting the ball to them and moving the chains and keeping the time of possession battle in Buffalo's favor. When Buffalo wins the time of possession battle and they win the turnover battle, that's the two keys that the Bills have to have today is the win the time of possession battle and win the turnover battle, and you will see a ton of success from Buffalo here. The other thing that I want to bring up is the Miami Dolphins defensive backs. Their defensive back room is scattered. They do not have anybody really that is a good cornerback in this league. Rasul Douglas came over from the Buffalo Bills, but he's still learning the defensive playbook of the Miami Dolphins. And I think that you can exploit the boundaries for the Buffalo Bills and use your perimeter wide receivers for Buffalo and get the ball to Coleman and Palmer in this game early and often and find ways to not only use the short game, but find ways to get the ball deep down the field and press the Miami Dolphins and make sure that they are moving down the field left and right and they're uncomfortable in whatever you're going to do. It's a balanced offense that I want to see, but I want to see some shots deep down the field, and I want to see Joe Brady open up this playbook for Josh Allen today. On the defensive side of the ball, it's really going to come down to, for me, the Bills, even though they're shorthanded, they do have Matt Milano out with a pectoral injury. Ed Oliver's out with a ankle injury, but I want to see the Bills step up in the big moments. You have two players out here in Deion Walker, TJ Sanders that are rookies. They have to step up today, and they have to do one thing that my dad mentioned, which is stop the run. You got to allow Tua to have third and long situations and make him uncomfortable. But that starts off with Buffalo making sure that you have a third and long situation for Tua. You have to make sure that you're stopping Devon Achane and making sure that you're creating third and long situations, making Tua uncomfortable where he can't move outside the pocket. You got to set the edges just like you do against Lamar Jackson and even Justin Fields. But you have to make sure that Tua is uncomfortable, and that is going to come down to the defensive line of the Buffalo Bills. Interior pressure from guys like Zion Lowe, Deion Walker, and TJ Sanders, but also on the outside, it's going to be a big day from Joey Bosa today. I want to see some big things out of him. And also Miami native Greg Rousseau has to have a big day too for the Buffalo Bills, and I want to see what they can do. John Robert coming into the chat saying, I like the way Joe Brady is utilizing Elijah Moore. Absolutely. I think that they're going to open it up a little bit more for him too. And you could see a big gain from Elijah Moore, not only being utilized in terms of wildcat type player and a scat player, a hybrid player for the Bills, but you could see some big things happening for him tonight. For the Bills on defense, as I mentioned, Joey Bosa has been everything Buffalo has hoped for, but I want to see another good game from him and getting into the backfield, disrupting to his blind side, making him uncomfortable, and making him think about his next step that he's going to take. Because when that happens, you're going to see mistakes happen from Tua, and you can pick him off and get turnovers and get the ball back to JA-17 and make it a even bigger lead for Buffalo in this game. The other thing I want to mention for the Buffalo Bills is that while Ed Oliver is out, this secondary of the Buffalo Bills has to step up big tonight and make sure that they are picking off and not allowing Jaylen Waddle or Tyreek Hill to make game-changing plays. Now, having said that, I know that what's going to happen in this game, you're going to see it happen from the get-go. They're going to find Jaylen Waddle. They're going to find Tyreek Hill. But you can't let them take over the game. They're going to have plays, as I mentioned, where it's going to be Tyreek Hill here, Jaylen Waddle there. It happens every single time that we play them. But don't let them be game changers in this game. Let them have their moments. Occasionally, you're going to have that bend, don't break mentality out here. But it comes down to, for me, making sure that you don't get beat by a deep pass for a Tyreek Hill 80-yard touchdown that takes the lead in the game. While we could be up 17 points, we could see a big play. Don't be alarmed if that happens from the offense of the Miami Dolphins because they are talented. But you can't let them take over the game. You got to let them just kind of – let me think of how to word this. You ever have it where you have a bully that's picking on you left and right, and they're calling you names and everything, you know, they're calling you mean things. and you just let them go. Let them have their moment of being rude and everything, and you just let it happen, and you live to fight another day. That's how it's got to be for the Buffalo Bills tonight. John Robert coming into the chat on Facebook saying another sack from Cole Bishop. I would love to see that. Also, John Robert coming into the chat saying Trey White needs to have a good game. I completely agree with what you're saying. In his first game back for the Buffalo Bills in Orchard Park, it's going to be an electric atmosphere for him. He's going to be hyped up. You know that's going to happen, but he's going to be going up against either Jaylen Waddle or Tyreek Hill. I want to see that the Buffalo Bills secondary lock up both players for Jaylen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Let's get into some of the struggles that the Miami Dolphins have had over the last couple of weeks. And I want to bring up the offense. Like I mentioned, they haven't been flashy. They've had their moments of inconsistency. And last week against the New England Patriots, they did have 15-plus plays of 15 yards or more. And 8 plays of 15-plus yards or more. And they, as I mentioned, they haven't looked great. They've stalled on drives, and that's what's going to happen tonight. I will promise you that they're going to have a big play. You're going to get nervous and everything for the Bills, but you can't let that affect the overall game plan of just trying to get a win here in Highmark Stadium and get out of this game and get healthy again. That's what it's going to come down to. Like I mentioned, Tua can play off schedule. He can be uncomfortable. The Bills are going to have that happen. It's going to be a game where the Bills front seven can collapse, Tua, make him uncomfortable, and then you're going to have turnovers. And that's what it's going to take for the Bills to win this game. Keys to victory for me, as I mentioned, fast start from Josh Allen and the Bills offense. I want to see that happen. Make them chase early and often. Make them have to deal with the crowd of Buffalo because this crowd is unstoppable in the NFL. They're really loud, and they get into the game, and they affect the game left and right. Make them uncomfortable. Make them have to fight for their season, and make them have to fight for their head coach. Then it comes down to, for me, balanced offense. As I mentioned, keep feeding the ball to James Cook, but use an up-tempo approach, utilizing play-action passes, throwing the ball to Elijah Moore, throwing it to Joshua Palmer, Keon Coleman, getting the open hand, and feeding the person that's hungry. Just keep going on that. On defense, it's going to come down to eliminating the explosive plays. On offense, it's going to be exploiting the explosive plays, making sure that even though the defensive backs of the Miami Dolphins are struggling, they don't have very good defensive backs, take deep shots down the field, fire the ball, and see what happens out there. It could be a 50-50 situation, but the odds are you're going to get pass interference, you're going to catch the ball, or you're going to have a turnover. Sometimes you're going to have some mistakes that happen with Josh Allen, but take the shots down the field too. For the Bills on defense, as I mentioned, pressure Tua Tagovailoa. Don't give him enough time to find Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle in this game, and don't let them get open down the field. Protect the football in this game for the Buffalo Bills. Make sure that you're protecting it. No careless turnovers. While you are playing on a short week, this is where things can get sloppy in the game plan because you haven't practiced all week. It could get sloppy, but I want to see a clean game from the Buffalo Bills here as well. I mentioned earlier in the chat, I mentioned to put your score predictions for the game, who you think is going to win and why you think they will win. As I mentioned, this game is for Miami is a must-win situation. They have to come into Orchard Park and save their season and save their head coach. But if they don't do this, I do think that they are going to ride home with a new head coach, and it's probably going to be Anthony Walker that takes over the Miami Dolphins next week. But this Buffalo Bills team is too well battle-tested. They have great coordinators in Bobby Babich and Joe Brady and Sean McDermott that take over the game and make sure that they are ready to go. You've seen it from the start of the game, making adjustments early and often. I think the Bills are going to come out of this game with a very easy win. I don't think it's going to be very close. Josh Allen thrives in primetime. He plays his best football there. He's going to deliver a statement performance on Thursday Night Football, showcasing why the Buffalo Bills are one of the best teams in the NFL and showcasing that the Miami Dolphins will have to travel to South Beach with a new head coach next week. And as I mentioned, it's going to be a game where you could see Tyreek Hill having a touchdown, Jaylen Waddle having a big play. Don't break your mentality of what you're trying to do. Buffalo's got a balanced, physical, and poised attack that they can run tonight, and make sure that you're taking advantage of every opportunity that you have out there on the field. For me, I have the Buffalo Bills winning this game 31-20. I don't think it's going to be close. I think that the Bills are going to run away with it, and then the Miami Dolphins will start putting points on the board. They're going to showcase that they are moving to 3-0, that they have an iron grip on this division, that they are one of the best teams in the NFL, and they're going to send Miami packing back to South Beach, still searching for answers of how they can save their season and searching for a new head coach for the team. But Bills Mafia Thursday night is going to be interesting. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Even though it is Thursday night, it's going to be a great atmosphere tonight. And I think that Buffalo is going to bring the noise. They're going to be poised to get a victory, and it's going to be a very fun showdown. So let's get into the game. We are just a couple minutes away from kickoff. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment on all these videos on social media. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also find us on our website, gobillspodcast.com. Click on over there, and you can find all of our upcoming shows throughout the week. You can also see us on our next show tonight at halftime. We will have a halftime show and a post-game show on YouTube and Facebook on Go Bills Podcast. You can also see us on Monday for our next show that we will have, which will be Overreaction Monday on YouTube and Facebook. And you can see all of what is happening throughout the NFL in week 3 in terms of all the games. We'll talk about, the highs and lows of the game, who we think are going to be the contenders or pretenders in the NFL, as well as some other things that we will talk about too, some injury updates as well if we have any for the Buffalo Bills. So stay tuned for all our upcoming shows. Get your popcorn ready for this matchup against the Miami Dolphins, and let's make sure that we come out of it with a win. Stay loud, stay proud, and as always, we say go Bills. We'll see you at